Welcome tennis fans, sports enthusiasts, and everyone who loves an incredible underdog story turning into a history-making triumph. Today, we are witnessing what could be one of the most unforgettable narratives to unfold on the sacred grass courts of the All England Club this year. This match had everything: dramatic momentum swings, enormous historical significance, rising stars colliding, and a stunning comeback that will forever be remembered in Wimbledon history. We're talking about the incredible performance from 21-year-old Filipino sensation Alex Eala, who delivered a remarkable display of resilience to defeat Australia's Maya Joint and secure her place in the third round of Wimbledon 2026. This was more than just another victory. It was a cultural moment, a tactical masterpiece, and a powerful reminder of the determination required to carry the hopes of millions on the world's biggest stage. To truly appreciate the magnitude of this achievement, we have to set the scene. The All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club is where legends are created and dreams are tested. It remains the pinnacle of tennis tradition, with every blade of grass echoing the greatness of champions who came before. Heading into this second-round encounter, the storylines could not have been more compelling. On one side stood Maya Joint, the talented 20-year-old Australian who entered the match riding an extraordinary wave of confidence and global attention. Just days earlier, she had stunned the tennis world by defeating the returning icon, the legendary Serena Williams. That victory transformed Joint into the tournament's ultimate giant slayer. When Maya stepped onto the court against Alex Eala, she carried the aura of a player who had conquered one of the greatest names the sport has ever known. Confidence was overflowing, expectations were soaring, and many believed her magical run was only beginning. But standing across the net was a young Filipino star with a story, and a destiny, of her own. The tennis world was focused on Maya Joint. Many expected her to cruise through the draw, riding the momentum of that monumental victory deep into the second week of Wimbledon. But standing on the opposite side of the net was Alex Eala. The 21-year-old star from Quezon City, ranked world number 32 and seeded 29th, entered this match carrying her own immense expectations and an even stronger desire for redemption. Eala and Joint already had unfinished business. Just 1 year earlier, Maya had broken Alex's heart in the Eastbourne final. So this was never just another second-round match at Wimbledon. It was an opportunity to rewrite the story on an even bigger stage. Eala wasn't only competing for herself, she was chasing history. Only a handful of Filipino players had ever reached the third round at Wimbledon, and Alex was determined to become the first Filipina of the modern era to firmly place the Philippine flag among the tournament's elite. The match began exactly as many analysts predicted. The confidence Maya Joint gained from her stunning win over Serena Williams was evident from the opening point. She attacked relentlessly, controlled the tempo, and unleashed the aggressive baseline game that had made headlines around the world. Joint captured the opening set 6-3, leaving Eala searching for solutions against the power and confidence of the young Australian. At that stage, the storyline seemed inevitable. The giant slayer appeared destined to continue her remarkable run, while Eala's Wimbledon dream looked ready to slip away once again at the hands of a familiar rival. Maya Joint seemed unstoppable, a wave of momentum that nobody could slow down. But this is precisely where the match transformed from an ordinary contest into something far greater. This is where Alex Eala reached deep within herself, finding a level of resilience, determination, and belief that only the greatest competitors possess. And from that moment on, everything changed. Of mental toughness far beyond her years. Written on the back of her sun visor was a powerful Tagalog phrase, "Kapag lumago, hindi na hihinto," once it begins to grow, it cannot be stopped. And on the historic grass of Wimbledon, Alex Eala truly began to grow. She never panicked. She refused to crumble under the immense pressure. Instead, she adjusted, trusted her instincts, and drew upon the years of discipline and preparation forged at the Rafa Nadal Academy. In doing so, she completely changed the direction of the match. The second set was more than a comeback, it was a tactical masterpiece. Eala found her rhythm. Her passing shots landed with pinpoint precision, her defensive skills transformed into devastating counterattacks, and she steadily dismantled the Australians' game plan. She claimed the set 6-2, seizing the momentum and leaving Maya Joint frustrated, searching for the confidence that had carried her through the opening set. And then came a third set that tennis fans will remember for years to come. If the second set represented a shift in momentum, the final set was pure domination. Powered by the thunderous support of Filipino fans filling the stands with flags and chants, Alex Eala produced tennis of the highest order. She bageled Maya Joint 6-0. It was flawless. It was ruthless. It was breathtaking. To deliver that kind of performance against a player who had just defeated Serena Williams made the achievement even more remarkable. Maya Joint, who had looked unstoppable only an hour earlier, managed to win just 2 games across the final 2 sets. She dropped 12 of the last 14 games of the match. The turnaround was extraordinary. The upset was stunning. And for Alex Eala, it became a historic moment of triumph. The message on her visor proved prophetic. Once it started growing, it simply could not be stopped. Eala had done more than avenge her painful Eastbourne defeat. She had announced herself to the world as a genuine force in women's tennis, a fearless competitor capable of producing brilliance on the grandest stages and a player no opponent can afford to underestimate. A genuine force on the WTA Tour, making Philippine history in the most emphatic and unforgettable fashion imaginable. Now, let's take a closer look at exactly how this remarkable transformation unfolded. How does a player who struggled through the opening set suddenly produce a 6-0 masterpiece in the deciding set of a Grand Slam match? The answer lies in tactics, psychology, and the unique atmosphere that only Wimbledon can provide. First, we have to examine the adjustments Alex Eala made throughout the contest. During the opening set, Maya Joint was dictating nearly every exchange. Her ground strokes were deep, powerful, and relentless, forcing Eala well behind the baseline and denying her any opportunity to control the rhythm of the rallies. Riding the confidence from her stunning victory over Serena Williams, Joint played with complete freedom, striking aggressively without hesitation. Eala, aware of the historic significance of the moment and their previous meetings, initially found herself reacting rather than imposing her own game. But tennis has always been a sport of adaptation, and Eala demonstrated exceptional problem-solving under pressure. At the beginning of the second set, she made a critical adjustment. She stepped inside the baseline and began taking the ball earlier. Instead of allowing Joint time to prepare, Eala rushed her opponent and changed the tempo entirely. The Australian, known for setting up her explosive forehand, suddenly had far less time to execute her patterns. Eala also increased the depth and shape of her shots. Her training at the Rafa Nadal Academy helped develop a forehand loaded with heavy topspin, an unusual but highly effective weapon on grass when used correctly. By driving the ball deep into the corners with extra rotation, she forced Joint into awkward contact points and disrupted the flat, aggressive hitting that had been so successful in the first set. Just as importantly, Eala began targeting Joint's movement around the court. While the Australian possesses tremendous power, Eala relied on her speed and court intelligence. She introduced clever drop shots and sharp-angled slices, pulling Joint forward and exposing areas of the court that had not been tested earlier in the match. The momentum gradually shifted. What had started as a battle of power evolved into a contest of precision, variation, and tactical discipline, and Alex Eala was winning every exchange. Looked far less comfortable once she was pulled forward, and Eala's passing shots became absolutely clinical. It was a masterclass in changing the geometry of the court. Alex transformed the contest into a physical and mental chess match, consistently staying one step ahead and anticipating Joint's next move. But tactics alone do not explain this extraordinary turnaround. We must also consider the psychological dimension of the match. Maya Joint appeared to experience what sports psychologists often describe as a letdown effect. Achieving a career-defining victory, especially one as significant as defeating Serena Williams at Wimbledon, demands an enormous emotional investment. The adrenaline, the media attention, and the weight of global expectations can be mentally exhausting. For one set, Joint continued riding that emotional wave. She played with confidence, freedom, and intensity. But when Eala fought back in the second set and refused to surrender, the momentum began to shift. Gradually, the Australian's energy seemed to fade. The change was visible in her body language. The lively movement between points slowed. The shoulders dropped. Unforced errors started to appear with greater frequency. A player who had looked nearly unbeatable suddenly found herself under immense pressure from an opponent who simply would not back down. Meanwhile, Alex Eala displayed remarkable composure. Losing the opening set 3-6 against a player who had previously defeated you, and who had just shocked the tennis world, would have shaken many experienced professionals. Yet Eala remained calm, focused, and determined. She carried the expectations of an entire nation, but instead of being burdened by that responsibility, she seemed empowered by it. The support inside the All England club was extraordinary. Filipino fans arrived in huge numbers, creating an atmosphere unlike a typical Wimbledon second-round encounter. Blue, red, white, and yellow flags filled the stands. Chants echoed across the court, and songs rang out in celebration and encouragement. Many have said that wherever Alex Eala competes, she effectively enjoys a home court advantage, and this match certainly felt that way. The energy from the crowd became an additional source of strength, pushing her forward during the most difficult moments. Eala later acknowledged in her post-match press conference that making history for the Philippines carried deep emotional significance. Yet she emphasized that the overwhelming support from her fans gave her confidence, belief, and the motivation to continue fighting until the very last point. For her country, and she spoke openly about how much that support means to her. The energy from the crowd undoubtedly lifted her when she needed it most, fueling her comeback and gradually draining Maya Joint's momentum. We should also appreciate the deeper significance of the phrase written on her visor, "Kapag lumago, hindi na hihinto," once it begins to grow, it cannot be stopped. This was far more than a simple slogan. Nike collaborated with Eala to incorporate elements of her heritage because they recognize that she represents something much bigger than tennis alone. Last season, she wore a custom accessory featuring the sampaguita, the national flower of the Philippines. By carrying symbols of her culture onto the court, Eala remains connected to home in a sport that often demands constant travel and personal sacrifice. She competes not only for rankings and trophies, but for a purpose that extends far beyond the game itself. She is inspiring millions of young Filipinos, showing them that greatness can emerge from nations without long-established tennis traditions. She is opening doors that remained closed for generations and proving that world-class champions can come from anywhere. Her development at the Rafa Nadal Academy has also played a crucial role in shaping her competitive identity. Training within an environment built around one of the fiercest competitors in sports history inevitably leaves a lasting impact. Rafael Nadal became legendary because he treated every single point as if it were the most important point of his life. That same mentality was visible in Eala's performance. Even with a commanding lead late in the deciding set, she chased every ball, maintained her intensity, and refused to offer Maya Joint any opportunity to regain confidence. There was a ruthless efficiency to the way she finished the match, a level of focus and determination that should command the attention of the entire WTA Tour. And now, the reward for this historic breakthrough is an even bigger stage. By advancing to the third round, Eala has earned a significant financial reward, but far more importantly, she has earned another opportunity to make history. She now moves one step closer to the sport's grandest spotlight, with the possibility of a blockbuster showdown that could define the next chapter of her remarkable journey. The tennis world is watching, and Alex Eala has made one thing abundantly clear: she is no longer simply a promising young talent. She is a genuine contender, ready to challenge anyone standing across the net. She will now face world number 3 and defending champion Iga Swiatek. It will be the third chapter in a growing rivalry that already carries plenty of intrigue. Eala shocked the tennis world by defeating Swiatek in the Miami Open quarterfinals last year, proving that her game can trouble one of the sport's dominant forces. Swiatek responded with a victory in Madrid earlier this season, setting the stage for an electrifying rubber match on the grandest stage of them all. This Wimbledon showdown has all the ingredients of a classic. Swiatek represents the ultimate challenge, a player renowned for her movement, consistency, and relentless intensity. Yet Alex Eala has demonstrated time and time again that she fears absolutely no opponent. Following her victory, she offered a calm but revealing assessment of the upcoming battle. "I know it's going to be tough for me, but I'm going to try to make it tough for her as well. I'm expecting a great challenge, and I believe I'm ready for it." That statement reflects the quiet confidence of an athlete who truly believes she belongs among the very best in the world. Of course, Swiatek will enter as the overwhelming favorite. But after witnessing Eala completely dismantle Maya Joint after dropping the opening set, few observers are willing to dismiss the Filipino star's chances. As we conclude this deep analysis, it is important to step back and consider the wider significance of what Alex Eala has accomplished. This was not merely a victory in a tennis match. It was a moment that resonated across Southeast Asian sport. Alongside the region's other remaining representatives, Eala continues to demonstrate that elite tennis talent can emerge from every corner of the globe. The traditional boundaries of the sport are expanding, and she is helping lead that transformation. She is writing a new chapter in Philippine sporting history, building upon the achievements of earlier generations while carrying the game into a modern era filled with unprecedented possibilities. The manner of her victory speaks volumes. She lost the opening set, stared defeat directly in the face against a confident giant slayer, and then completely reinvented the contest, winning the final 2 sets in dominant fashion. That is the hallmark of championship character. Maya Joint, meanwhile, will undoubtedly recover from this setback. She remains exceptionally young, immensely talented, and will forever be remembered for her remarkable triumph over Serena Williams. Australian tennis has every reason to believe that her future remains incredibly bright. But on this unforgettable day at Wimbledon, the spotlight belonged entirely to Alex Eala, a player who refused to surrender, embraced the weight of history, and announced to the world that a new force in women's tennis has truly arrived. The future of Australian tennis remains incredibly bright, with Maya Joint leading the next generation. But today served as a powerful reminder of the unforgiving realities of Grand Slam competition. These tournaments are marathons, not sprints, and sustaining emotional intensity match after match is among the most difficult challenges any young player must learn to overcome. For Alex Eala, however, today was about triumph. It was about validation. It was about proving that the words written on her visor were far more than a simple phrase. Kapag lumago, hindi na hihinto.